It's Mack. Welcome back to episode 7 of Icebreaker. Episode 7 is presented by Superior Asphalt and Paving. Check them out at superiorasphalt.paving.ca. And we got a real special guest with us today to start the show.
Asphalt specialist. No, not really. It's AJ Leite, Energy 106, and game day host at the Winnipeg Ice.
Familiar voice to some, and hopefully becomes a familiar voice to others. That's right. So we got AJ. He's a huge sports guy, so he's going to help us get through the topics on the day-to-day.
I don't dress like this, Mac. I just got off the golf course.
Tell us how the golf game went.
At Quarry Oaks, we shot an 89, but it was best ball. So I didn't shoot an 89.
Were the putts going in?
And the putts are quick at Quarry Oaks. It's like putting on ice. We've been playing all summer at Kingswood, and the greens have been rolling really slow. And so the first couple putts at Quarry, we were just shooting them.
Putting yourself right off the green. Well, speaking of putts, playoff in the PGA tournament today with Colin Morikawa and Justin Thomas. And JT hits a 65-footer on the first playoff hole for birdie, and it looks like it's over. Like, no chance Morikawa drains his. And then 27 feet, and he ends up burying it and then goes a couple more holes and wins it. But I was sitting there watching. It was unbelievable.
You ever put yourself in their shoes? Picture that your opponent just hit a 65-foot birdie putt. What do you think?
I'm going to put myself off the green.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's don't leave it short and hope it hits the cup. And if not, it's going off the green. What I think is remarkable is how those guys go up there like 65 feet away and he expects to make it. Like, I'm hoping just keep it at a 3-putt. 3-putt would be great.
Like, I don't know what you do personally when you get on the green, but if I'm that far away, I don't line up a shot. I just want to rocket it and make the second putt.
Exactly. Get it close and give yourself an opportunity on the second putt.
That's it. No, that's why we're not pros, I guess.
Yeah, and my mental fortitude probably would have crumbled if I saw that go in on a playoff hole.
Just bail. Okay, you win. I'm out of here.
Exactly. His dad, JT's dad, was in the background too on the cart, and he was watching it just stone-faced, and when it went in, he's just like, little smile, that was it.
It wasn't over.
Like, holy smokes.
And then to eventually lose the playoff.
Yeah, he lost.
After a shot like that, that's even more incredible.
Yeah, he lost. He put himself behind a tree on the third playoff hole and had to punch out. So at that point, it's pretty much over.
You should get a portion of the prize money.
Oh, they all do. They all do. He's not hurting for cash.
Some type of recognition, though.
Did you get a chance to watch any of the UFC this weekend?
No, I didn't actually even see the recap of the UFC. What happened?
I didn't pay for the pay-per-view, but I was watching the prelims, and 3 straight knockouts. Rarely ever seen when you're watching 3 straight knockouts and the guys are out colded. It's honestly scary. Like, it is scary when they're laying there unconscious and the other guy's celebrating. Like, I'm watching on TV and I'm like, oh my God, are you okay?
I know. No, like, the other guy's doing a lap.
He's got his hand in the air. He was literally like the last one. It was a light heavyweight division, so those guys are big. I think they weighed in at 205. And the guy went for a flying knee. He missed it, hit him with a left jab, and then came around with a right hook, and the guy dropped. But I will give this guy credit. I can't remember his name, but sometimes you see they knock a guy out, and then they keep punching him until the ref jumps in. Yeah. As soon as he did it, he lined up for another punch and knew he was out cold and walked away before the ref even got there. So I do give him credit for that because it could have been even more of a debacle.
That's class.
Well, and then obviously these fights were on UFC Fight Island for the first time.
Love it.
3 belts were handed out. And Bruce Buffer was obviously there firing up the fighters. They showed him on the TV, and they're like trying to start the fight. And he was walking to each fighter, giving them fist bumps before the fight. I love that guy.
Now, what do you think of Fight Island?
I think it's genius.
It's amazing.
It's pure genius.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just take it somewhere else, test everyone, no fans, but we're going to make it an experience still. And that's what the UFC is. I said it a couple episodes ago, but their live production is second to none.
Yep.
And so they're taking their experience out to UFC Fight Island. But for the fighters, they're still having a fight week experience.
Yeah. And like taking Fight Island into perspective, and I've caught a little bit of what wrestling's doing, what WWE is doing. And granted, they're putting on more shows. But the quality between the two now isn't even close. UFC, you said it, UFC's giving you an event still, whereas it seems like the WWE are just trying to grind out a product just to stay afloat, you know?
I agree. And there's no way the WWE can continue without fans. Like, they can't do what they do without fans because it's a show, right? Like,
it's become something, it's become interesting, but you're right, it's not the same experience. You're just watching a soap opera now.
Exactly. Hey, you put it best. That's very true.
Yeah.
One more thing about the UFC I got to get in. So this guy ended up winning a fight. He knocked the guy out in like the third round or something. And he turns around at Dana White after his fight, and he's from Australia or something. And he looks at him and he goes, "I broke me jaw in the first round." And Dana White, "You did?" And he goes, "Yeah, I broke it." His jaw's like out to here.
The same way I can't picture coming back from a 72-foot birdie putt. I couldn't picture looking at somebody with a broken jaw, but then talking about it.
Yet alone finishing it to the third round and then ended up knocking the guy out with a broken jaw. The guys are tough as nails.
Superstars, yeah.
Tough as nails. Last thing before we get into our so-called main event is the
I'm excited for this.
CBA and Players Association came together and they got an agreement down, which means that they're going to return to play here starting in August, and the training camps open up tomorrow. Interesting, I guess, for fans as teams release their training camp rosters because it starts tomorrow, and some notable misses on there, but guys also opting out. And from my perspective, I can't blame guys for saying that they're going to opt out for family and keep their family safe.
No, for a few reasons. Because first, it's paramount that you keep your family safe, like you said. Do you think that winning this version of the Stanley Cup comes with the same clout as grinding an entire season out?
Well, it's the Stanley Cup, and once you get in there, it's still the hardest playoff format in sports. You need to win 16 games, right? I think once the playoff starts, all these teams were the teams obviously around the playoff hunt, so they get their play-in series to get in, and whoever gets in, okay, you're in the playoffs. But I still think once the playoff starts, it's a grind, no matter if you played a full 82 or you had a few weeks.
Well, and do you think it's harder to grind out 82 games and then go into the playoffs, or take this time off?
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I had Dave Cameron on, who's an NHL skill development instructor during the summers for high-level players, including the Western League NHL players, and he's our guest today. But he was saying that every NHL guy he talked to was using this time to rest their mind, but their body. But he also said they didn't miss a beat in their program. They kind of treated it like a abbreviated off season, and were on the ice as soon as they could. We're in the gyms, we're running, doing a little bit different things, right? Because gyms were closed, but running and cardio. But he said all the guys he talked to feel great. Like their bodies have never felt better.
Good.
So I think when it does start happening, and we talked about how it's going to be like when a season restarts, the hockey is sloppy at the start. This is
right.
A 5-game play-in series. Who can be the least sloppy?
Yeah, and that's what I'm interested in seeing is, do they come back a little rusty, or are these guys in the Stanley Cup playoffs now, and are they ready to go?
I'm sure once the puck drops, it'll just be back to business as usual. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to watching hockey again.
Me too. Do they pump in crowd noise or no? What do you think?
I'm going to go with no.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no. I'm interested to see if the goal horn's utilized.
That's interesting. How loud would that be in the empty arena?
Well, especially in Rogers Place at Edmonton.
Yeah.
That horn is loud.
Yeah. So just raining down on you. No crowd noise to
So
dilute it.
you're not the home team one game, but the next game you are in the same arena. That's why I'm interested to see if they use it.
And you mentioned that grind too. I've seen a look at the prelim schedule, and there's quite a few back-to-back games that these teams have got to go through.
Well, just from a fan's perspective, the schedule starts at like 11 a.m. and you got hockey till 11 p.m. Phenomenal.
And I'm ready to soak it in. I don't know about you.
Well, I'm ready. Saturday and Sundays, I will be on the couch watching hockey. I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're going to do the best sports movie characters of all time. We'll do 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Pick one guy, one character, defend it, and then we'll go for 3 rounds. You can go first.
I will start then with my favorite sports movie, Happy Gilmore.
Okay. Happy is off the board.
Happy Gilmore makes my pick because talk about rags to riches. That guy had never golfed before, and look how far he came in a 2-hour movie.
I'm a hockey player, but I'm here to play a little golf today. One of the best lines in all of sports.
See, there you go.
I'm going with the Chicago Cubs pitching coach, Phil Brickma, because, Phil Brickma and his one-liners were phenomenal, especially with the 3 R's of baseball or whatever he said. It's like rest, recuperation, and conditioning. Phenomenal stuff.
Because I don't know what his character name. It's been a while since I've seen Tom Hanks act in A League of Their Own.
Okay.
But I'm putting Coach Tom Hanks up.
I don't know the name either.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll take
it. Have you ever named a Tom Hanks character? He's just Tom Hanks in all of the movies.
You're right. Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump.
The only two. I'm putting him up as one of the best sports movie characters of all time.
Okay, my next pick is the Great Hambino from Sandlot.
Dang, that's a good one.
And I'm going with that because I was going through my closet today and I have a shirt with him on it pointing for his home run.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm going with the Great Hambino.
Now, would you pick him over Benny if you had to pick a team?
Oh, yeah. No question. You need the comic relief in the dressing room. He's a dressing room guy. Starts in the dressing room.
I guess so. And he could play.
And
right?
He could play.
So, yeah, I was throwing it in my head. I was saying if you could line up all of the Sandlot characters and have a pick 'em, you'd go with Hambino first.
I would go with Hambino.
Okay.
Starts in the locker room, through and through.
I grew up with glasses, so I was impartial to squints.
Oh, yeah.
This is my guy.
Classic.
Just one more?
One more.
I got to go golf again. Maybe it's because I just got off the links. Tim Cup. Tim
Why?
Cup. I don't know. You know what? I picked it just because it has like a soft spot in my heart. Tin Cup was a movie that for years I never watched because it was supposed to be a lame movie. And then we watched it and it was one of the best golf movies out there.
Right.
And so again, based on inspirational stories, Tin Cup.
With my last pick. Well, can we do TV shows? Because I got one from a TV show.
It's your podcast, man. You make the rules.
I don't want to change the rules mid-thing, but it was in my head from the start, and then I just realized it was from a TV show.
Which one?
I'm going with Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights.
Okay. It's like one of the best sports shows. Those 6 obscure sports stars.
I agree.
It made me happy. Happy
it
Gilmore.
Definitely was a little bit obscure. I mean, I was all over the board.
Nobody from Slapshot. We didn't pick anybody from Slapshot.
No one from Slapshot.
That's fun. You mentioned that you had a poll up on Twitter.
Yes.
With the same thing.
Yes.
Do you remember who was the top pick?
I will check it out right now.
Because I'm interested in the mass vote, the popular vote.
I only gave him a few options,
Mm.
and the pick was Shooter McGavin.
Oh, wow.
Shooter McGavin was the overwhelming favorite.
And I'm on a golf kick because I'm also thinking of Chevy Chase's character in Caddyshack.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh,
That's a good
deadly
one.
with
Must be
the
the
putter.
summer. Must be the summer. We got a great guest on the show today, the head on ice instructor and program manager for Jets hockey development, Dave Cameron. So he works with Western Hockey League players, NHL players, on everything from skill development to skating, shooting, passing, receiving passes, as you'll hear in our conversation. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Dave.
Yeah, things are good. Busy with a kickoff to the summer, but doing well.
Things are starting to ramp up a little bit.
Yeah, it's been busy ever since we got the green light to start back after the COVID shutdown. So it's been a pretty steady pace from June 1st and rolling right into the off season now.
Yeah, well, that's positive. That's good to hear at least.
Yeah, it's been great. We've had the players have been awesome. The attitudes have been awesome. We're getting into the start of our now summer programming, which has been fantastic. So really exciting time, and players are excited to be back on the ice. Everyone feels great being back out there after the shutdown. So it's good.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a sec, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself here if I didn't bring up you played parts of 5 seasons in the Western Hockey League back in the day. What do you remember most about that?
It was great. It was just the situations I was in and the people that I met and the coaches I had. I was very fortunate to have a really good Western Hockey League career, where I really developed as a person. I developed as a player. I still am in contact with a lot of people that I played with or played against, and we cross paths. And now a lot of guys are coaching, which is exciting. So I get to see them through different networking chances, either with Team Canada or with at the draft or whatever it is. It's been great. It was awesome. I had a really good time in the Western Hockey League.
What do you keep tabs on the Western Hockey League at all?
I try to, mostly now because of the guys that I work with. So I'll keep tabs on them, whether it's with checking in with them through the year or talking to coaches or even trying to watch highlights now. I think social media has changed so much that it provides guys like me an easier opportunity to see things that are happening, where when I was playing that wasn't an option. So you had to go back and watch the video, or mom and dad couldn't see the highlights on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. So it's changed a lot, and I think it lets me keep tabs on things a little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, access is everywhere. So if you look back, into back then and then to now, what's changed the most, I guess, about skill development and how players, train in the summer and even during the season?
Yeah, I think there's just so much more of an emphasis on it now, where guys have to get better, right? And the mentality of everybody is the continued development. I got to get better. My skating's got to get better. I've got to work on the little things, and it really then leads to, I think, a higher level of players. And I know, seeing the guys who are making the rosters, they're not that much better than the guys who don't. Maybe they do things a little bit cleaner, or they're just a little bit more polished. But there's a lot of really good players who don't make the Western Hockey League for different reasons, and some of it's just because of timing, or some of it's because of personnel or different areas. But the focus on development, and even the focus on it from the team's perspective, to put personnel in place to allow their players to get better through the year, I think is fantastic. I think it's great to have teams put a skill development guy or a coach on the ice, or a skating coach, who can work with those players on the kind of the intricacies of the position.
Yeah, I even think back to when I played, and like through junior, we didn't have skill development coaches on the ice. And then when I got to college, there was all of a sudden, a day during the week that was focused on skill development. And all of us were like, what's going on here? Like, why are we wasting a practice day? But you see that more and more with every team now.
Right. And I think teams are using it to be more beneficial to their overall team improvement, right? So as I always tell players, as you get better, the overall level of your team gets better. And I think that fits into a lot of coaches' structure now where, their players get better, their team gets better, they're able to execute systems a little better, and ultimately it leads to more winning, which is great.
Yeah, like when I think back there, like all I had, like skating lessons was it, and we weren't allowed to use sticks out there. And now you see it like this, like the skating and the stick handling. Like if you can't put that together, like you're not going to play. So
That's right.
now, right, I watch it wherever I go, and you're slowing things right down to
Yeah.
the stride, and then stick handling the puck. And I mean, lots of guys like when they first started, like I know I wasn't a believer. I was like, how is this going to help me? But as you keep doing it, just you get better and better.
Right. No, and I mean, I agree. I think I try to really instruct things a lot and teach a lot and show clips of things. But when I'm breaking something down, we start stationary and then we add in some motion and then we add in some speed and then we add in some pressure and then we add in some game simulated drills, right? So there's this progression of teaching that we try to work through, really not depending on what we're working on. Everything kind of follows the same progression, where if guys can't do it first with no pressure, they're not going to do it with pressure.
Exactly.
Right. And then it's not going to come out in the game and they're going to panic and it's not going to work out well. So I try to utilize the practice time to make sure that that development is happening with them first.
So when this first started, like when people really started to put an emphasis on developing skills and like from the ground up, like you said, like starting stationary, was it hard to get elite level players to buy into that?
It's different, right? And so players really have to trust you that this is going to help them in some way. And I always talk to coaches about I believe the biggest part of my role with any player or any team that I work with is the relationships that I can build with the players and then with the coaches. Because, even the coaches have to understand why we're working on specific things in this way and how it's going to benefit first the player and the team at the same time. But when players can understand how those things are going to help them and how it might lead to something positive for them, there's a buy-in for sure. And I'll never forget, when I work on something with a player and then I get a text or I get a phone call or I get a Twitter message or something that says, hey, I tried this and it worked in a game and I scored.
Right.
Or that positive reinforcement for them, it has to happen at some point, and as soon as it does, there's a direct buy-in. I just got off the ice with a Western Hockey League player, and he's working on some things and some shooting and some release points, and he was able to say, like, this is going to directly help me score goals.
Right.
And that kind of buy-in from top-end guys, whether it's an NHL player, an American League player, an East Coast player, a Western Hockey League player, like whatever level they're at, all the way down to a young player who's playing A2 trying to make A1, if they can see that the direct impact it can have in a game, they buy in.
And you obviously work with like Western League players and up into the pro ranks. Does the development progression, is it catered to each player? Is it largely like a summer program? Is it the same for most guys?
That's a good question. I think that everything that I try to do is based on the players. So when I'm planning a summer program, I always ask the question to the players and to the parents of the younger guys, what do you want to get out of the summer? What do you want to get out of this off-season program? If there's specific things you want to work on, make sure they're sent to me. So with the pro guys, for example, I'll try to watch as much video as I can so that I get a really good idea of who's coming in and what they need to work on. At times, I'll even reach out to their coaches and find out kind of where they're at and what the expectation is for the coaches when they come back to that organization. And then I'm able to build practice plans around those topics. If there's specific time that we need, I'll always leave time at the end of the pro session so that guys can work on their own stuff. And then that's when we really identify specific things for each guy. But I'll try to make sure that everybody's getting kind of the things they need to play at the next level. The junior guys, I try to do the same thing. It's a little bit harder just because of the numbers. but at the same time, everything is based on individual development. So everything is aimed at giving those guys the tools that they need to play at the professional level. So it's always aimed at the next level to get there.
I think the coolest thing about that is, you know, even when players come back from the NHL for the summer, everybody's still trying to get better. It's not like, oh, I'm in the NHL, I'm status quo, I'm good, right?
You see that now is that the attitude has really changed, where guys are really working on development. Like it's as simple as, you know, I spent an hour with an NHL player talking about his blade angle when he receives a pass so the puck hits it flat and stops.
Right.
You know, he was having trouble because the pucks were bouncing or they were sitting up and he wasn't getting clean shots, or then he was having a stick handle. And it just, those little details, and that for him, it might mean the difference between 5 and 8 goals. It might mean the difference between 8 and 10. So it's a big deal. And it might even mean the difference between an extra couple shifts in a game if he's able to get on the ice a little more. So I try to be very specific with things with guys. I try to teach a lot of things that regular team practices don't allow for. So it's, you know, really giving guys tools that they're going to need based on what they need to do in a game.
Right, and kind of a weird situation here with, I think I saw on TSN the other day that last year from the Stanley Cup final to the start of the regular season was 140 days. And now, just with the pause due to COVID-19, it's going to be over 180 days. So I guess with players returning, like, first of all, what are your thoughts on the restart, and how have players, been working there in this kind of break? What could they have been doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm really curious to see, you know, how guys are able to perform after the break. I know some guys in different areas were skating in different ways and doing some different things. I know I saw a couple guys after June 1st. The big thing was that guys really felt rested. And I don't know the last time that they felt that way. So the guys that I saw really felt good. Obviously they were a little rusty and it took them a couple weeks to get kind of back to where they felt really comfortable. But I'm really curious, and I think the challenge will be is, can they keep guys healthy, you know, getting back to a playoff level of hockey pretty quickly. You know, and my biggest concern would be the skating would be, you know, hips and groins and those kind of injuries, where guys are really not having the same lead up time that they would have in a summer off-season program, and then training camp, and then an exhibition season, and then the season, and then the playoffs. So as you're getting into really high intensity games very quickly, I think that becomes the challenge for the players and the coaches and the training staff to manage how, you know, those injuries are going to be avoided.
Right. And I'm not sure you know the answer to this question, but I was curious, like, would the players have treated this kind of break as an off season getting ready to go back, or is it a different type of mindset?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know. I think that this was so unpredictable. And even moving forward, you know, we're trying to plan things as best we can, but there's so much uncertainty with when this is actually going to start for hockey again. I know the NHL guys were, the guys that I spoke with, just shut down, and they mentally recharged, they physically recharged, so that in the event they were coming back, which they are, which is great, you know, they're physically ready to do it. I know that every guy that I spoke with and saw on the ice was working. They were working out. They were doing the things that they were supposed to be doing. And then as soon as they could get back on the ice, they were trying to get back on the ice. So it's interesting. And I'm really curious as to how this whole thing plays out and how it goes, because obviously it's exciting to get the NHL back and get playing again.
Yeah, I can't wait to start watching hockey again. I know I had a couple players on the show as well playing the NHL, and they're saying the same thing. It's just like they haven't had time to hang out with family and friends in a long time, and really not they couldn't really go to a gym or go skate. So like they had that
Right.
free time, which was nice for them. But I think when the season starts in a normal off season, where we get to September, October, it's a little bit sloppy at the start. And then most teams are going right into a best of 5 trying to make the playoffs.
Right. And that's the challenging part, is that they could play, 3 games or 5 games and then be done again.
Yeah.
So it's really an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting setup. And then with the uncertainty of not knowing when the next season starts, some guys could have a really extended off season.
Big time.
And some of the guys that I've seen who aren't in the playoff scenario, they're not even skating yet because they don't know what the off season looks like. And one of the challenges I talked to some of the Western Hockey League players about was the mental side of this off season, not knowing when their season's going to start, becomes very difficult, because I don't think that a player can keep it dialed in from June, July, August into September. If this gets pushed back anything for the Western Hockey League, they've got to really try to manage mentally how they're dealing with their training, so that come start of training camp, they still feel fresh.
Right. And is that hard on the trainers and on-ice instructors such as yourself, not knowing as well? Because normally I guess you would have it based on, maybe call it a month-by-month thing. And as you know the season's getting going, you kind of ramp it up more into game action type things.
Yeah, and so that's how I look at it, is I try to base everything off the start date of training camp for them. And then I work backwards as to what those guys will need leading up to that. And then, July is obviously different than August if they're heading to training camp for, let's say, the 1st of September.
Right.
Not knowing what is happening changes my perspective a little bit, because I'm going to focus more on the individual skills. I really don't get into a lot of battle scenarios and that kind of thing, kind of right up until training camp, because then we try to apply all the stuff that we've worked on into those practice days as they get ready for camp. But this off season, I'm going to change it a little bit and really focus more on the development side of each player, so that as they get back, they've got everything that they need, and then they're able to ready to step in. I've talked to some players about just monitoring their workouts and monitoring the days off to make sure that on the days that they're not skating or the days that they're not working out, they're really resting.
Right.
And to take advantage of that kind of rest time, and learning how to mentally kind of really engage in your training. And then when you're not training, really shut it down and just, go and enjoy, like you said, the family time or the golf game or whatever it is. But, really when you're training, dial it up. And then when you're not training, learn to shut it off.
Golf seems enjoyable until you start playing, so I understand that.
That's right. Well, I talked to a couple of guys who were going today, and they were already frustrated they were going. So
I'll leave it on this one. Where do you think the future of development and player development's headed?
I'm excited about it. The young guys that I see now, whether that's, a young guy coming into the Western League or just some of the younger players in Winnipeg or Manitoba, I'm very fortunate that I get to work with Team Canada with the U17 program. The level of skill for the players now is very, very high. These guys are doing things that at 17, I couldn't imagine I was doing. So it's exciting to see, how dedicated these guys are, how hard they're working, how much time they're putting in, how many great coaches there are. I know Winnipeg's got a ton of them. And then even across Canada now, there's so many good coaches who are helping players get better. And that to me is exciting. It really provides, I think, players now an opportunity to step into the National Hockey League at a younger age. I think that era has kind of really evolved, and you're seeing guys step out of the draft and go right in and play and make an impact. And that's exciting. And I think that, young players are seeing that now as well, that they have a chance to do some really cool things. And just based on how hard they work and how hard they want to put the time in, and if they want to be dedicated and they want to learn how to do the right stuff, they have an opportunity to do that. So I'm excited about the game. I'm excited about the development side. I'm excited how many teams are reaching out to guys like me to get involved with their group of players and try to help make an impact so that they can, help those players develop even more. So it's exciting.
Yeah, all good stuff, and the game's definitely headed in the right direction. Well, I just wanted to thank you, Dave, for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to check us out on social media at Icebreaker Show with 2 W's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you're looking for a video option to the show as well, check out our YouTube page at Icebreaker Show, and we're on there. And of course, thanks again for the streams, the downloads, and the listens on Apple Music, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it. Thanks again to Dave for coming on the show. We really appreciated his insight and knowledge around the game, and looking forward to the return of hockey. Also, thanks to AJ for joining us today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let us know what you think. I know it was fun, going back and forth with him at the start of the show, and looking forward to another good episode next week. So have a great week. Take care, and we'll see you then.